So my name is Callum Mead, I'm the mental motivator. This is the first video of the channel. So what the whole point of this channel is about is helping people who suffer from mental health, and we basically try and give more ideas and suggestions of how we can help them reduce the suffering that they have to go through every day with different categories of mental health. So today I'm talking to
Craig Lymm.
Thank you very much. So at the start of each video I will give a quote that I believe is relevant to mental health. So the one today is from Lewis Hamilton. It is failure, in my opinion. Failure is 100% necessary for greatness. To achieve that greatness and to have success, you need to fail as many times as possible. So you shouldn't shy away from it. So what are your thoughts on that quote?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think in reality that as life is difficult can seem, particularly while you're younger, you want to try as many things as possible, and unfortunately you've got to learn how to try and tackle a lot of these challenges, and from time to time you will find that you fail because of whatever reason, wrong time, wrong technique, lack of experience. And so again, it's as much as we never want to fail, we pretty much fail on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily accept it as a failure, we just accept it as a bump in the road.
Exactly. Like most people, if you look at any celebrity, any famous person, you'll always see that they didn't become a celebrity or famous from direct success. Every single one of those people have failed along the line, such as famous car brands. Each one of those had to go through failure, and they weren't afraid to fail in order to become the success that they are today. This shows that even if you are afraid of failing in life, you shouldn't have to believe that if you fail once, that's just the end of it. You need to know that you shouldn't just give up. You need to keep on going on over and over and over again until eventually you get that success. So with this episode, it is just putting it out there that most people talk about mental health as a single subject, which means that it isn't actually talked about in the proper way that it should be. So mental health has many different subcategories, such as anxiety, depression, suicide. Suicide is the main one that we're going to be talking about today, especially with men. So Craig, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I've lost two friends to suicide over the years, and again it was those that have got themselves into a situation where they felt as if they weren't able to cope, and they're also able to feel as though they couldn't ask for help. And that's kind of from a friend point of side of things. It's difficult to know that you've got a friend who considers you to be a friend, but they're too scared to ask when they're going through difficulties.
Yeah, that especially happens with men, as they have a social label that have been placed upon them to be the masculine, authoritative person in society, which gives them a negative reason to stay cooped up inside a unbreakable shell, which means that each person who has to go through that suffering ends up bursting, and then they end up committing suicide, as in their opinion they are unable to give their emotions out freely without being judged.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely true.
So the statistics for 2024, 7,149 suicides were committed in 2024. 3/4 of those were committed by men. With women it is attempted more, but men succeed more as they go for the more violent and effective methods, such as gunshot to the head, hanging, jumping off a cliff or a bridge. There will be another episode in the future talking about a specific person who did have to go through that, that will come at a later date. Have you got any more info for suicides in men?
The thing is, we all seem to be more and more isolated over the years. I've just reached 52 years old, and I find that you look at the typical platform, you assume everyone's got friends, you assume everyone's happy, you assume everyone's in a perfect job where there's no worries. Of course, there's worries for all of us, whether it be finances or an unhappy job, or they're not happy where they're living, or they're in a relationship they're not happy with. And so there's all these things that can pile on top of you, and you feel as though you don't know how to deal with these situations. And sometimes they can get to the point where you've run out of ideas, purely because of the fact that you're thinking about this from your own perspective, and you're potentially ashamed of talking about it with even close friends. And you don't want to become the burden.
Exactly. Like, most men just want to be the person who people can rely on, but they also give themselves the idea that they don't want to have to be the one to rely on others. So with one of my friends, he went through a relationship in which he was the one who was being abused, but the way that his girlfriend worded it and showed her apparent abuse, it labelled him as the bad person, and it labelled him as the person who was doing the abusing, which then caused him to commit suicide, as he'd had enough of this mental, physical, emotional abuse. He didn't want to go through it anymore, and as a male he felt that he couldn't rely on anyone else to ease his pain, ease his suffering, so he chose the quicker route that essentially put a lot of pain on his family.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, when I lost my first friend to suicide, I was still reasonably young, early 20s, and again I was notified by a friend of mine that we both studied with, and it was a shock, and you wasn't in communication with the family, so there was no way of finding out how and what and when the funeral was and what happened, and all the pressure, so it becomes very, very difficult. And the ironic part of a situation like that is I know that I spoke to the person only 2 weeks previous, and they seem perfectly fine, because they want to put that front forward to show that they're not. They almost seem weak if they start to ask for help, if they start to say, can we sit down and talk for a bit. And that's the thing that ideally we need to try and put the idea forward to people, that it's not a weakness to talk about situations.
So I will be putting links for suicide help and mental health information in the link below, so make sure those get checked out as well. If you feel like there could be anything else that I could do any videos on, please do let me know with those, as then I can help more people and spread the message of mental health awareness to everyone else. So we've briefly discussed on suicide. There is also depression, which can also lead to suicide. So what are your thoughts on that part?
Again, depression is one of those difficult things to talk about, particularly if you've got depression, and half the time most people don't necessarily realise that they've got depression, because again they're not even comfortable going to the doctors and saying, I'm struggling a bit, I don't know who to talk to, I'm not sure if I need to go on medication. And again, the whole side with the medication is it can worry people in the fact that it might make them put weight on, it might make them change as a person, it might make them feel as though they're going to put weight on, so there'll be a number of downsides to it. But I mean, the main thing is going and talking to close friend initially, try and get a bit more support, and then go to your doctors and get them to discuss it with you. They may pass you on to a counsellor who may be able to give you a bit more advice. They may be able to put you on medication, discuss with you as to whether or not it's working, if it's helping, if they want to increase your dose or reduce your dose. And so over time these things can work out for the better.
So with depression, as Greg's quite rightly said, it can also have leading effects to suicide, as obviously, as you said, they don't really feel like they can tell people, or they feel negatively about it. So what the ultimate aim for the mental motivator is to let people know that they don't have to be afraid to talk to people about it. And what the whole aim is to get people to know that they are able to talk to people without being judged. It's not them that's the problem, it's the people that are judging them, that are making them appear weak, and it's completely downgrading for that person, as they're trying to confide in those people, but ultimately they're just getting disgrace and dishonour thrown upon them for trying to find help and solace in their friends. Like with my friend that was abused, he tried to go to 3 of his friends, and they straight away just said to him, man up, stop being such a wuss. I was like, you're a man, you're bigger than her, you can deal with it. That isn't the message that people should be conveying to those who are suffering from this kind of abuse from people, who are suffering from mental health, everything on top of that. They should be comforted and assisted with the problem that they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, I have to admit, I've been alone in most of my life. Yes, I have had relationships, and yes, I'm still in a relationship now, and they are difficult. And it is difficult to get out of a relationship that you'll find it difficult, because being alone can also be a difficult thing, where you can get into bad habits. I know for myself that my fix used to be alcohol for years, and every night I'd be drinking alcohol because it made me happy. But at the end of the day, long term, it didn't do my health any good, didn't do my mental health any good, and it doesn't solve the answer.
I mean, yeah, alcohol can be a good comforter if you need it, but there are other things that can help you find comfort and solace, such as going for a run, exercise, watching a nice TV program, having any kind of drink that isn't alcoholic, like iced lemonade or something. When I feel depressed or anxious, or I feel like I want to just end everything, I usually read a book, spend some time with my pets. That's always worked with me, and now I'm happy. I mean, yeah, I've gone through a few relationships that ended badly, but I always found a way to help myself get over that, and there is always a way, even if you feel like there isn't.
Yeah, I think the thing is, when you come out of a relationship, it seems like the worst thing in the world. You seem like the person that's going to remain single for the rest of your life, and you start to picture yourself as someone totally different, that's not worthy, ugly, stupid, or worthless. And sometimes it's difficult to build yourself up. I myself, anxiety, as much as I try and push myself, I still suffer from anxiety. I'm still the quiet one, and I think sometimes the only person that can recognise yourself as a good person that can get on is yourself.
Yeah.
And I know, as difficult as that might seem, and it takes time and it takes a lot of work, but start to believe in yourself, because you can get there, but that's the first step.
Exactly. It's pretty much you versus you. You feel like it's the world versus you, but it's ultimately just yourself against your own mindset. You feel like your mind is just completely being broken down, but you need to work your way up to the top, brick by brick. Like every successful person that's ever been alive, you build it up brick by brick, piece by piece, until eventually you're unbreakable and you're able to do anything without judgment. I mean, the whole point of doing the filming of these videos in any places, currently we're outside Castle Mound in Bedford Town Centre. This is essentially to show that it is possible to do things without judgment. We're currently filming here. I mean, we have no judgment for what people might be thinking. People could be just walking past being like, what the hell are those people doing? Why are they filming there? That's just weird. We don't care. We're doing this to help bring awareness for those who are struggling in their daily lives, and for those who feel like they can't speak out for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd second that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's things like this that get people talking.
And that is the whole goal.
Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to put the message forward without pushing is the most important thing, because if you are on your own and you are struggling, and then you suddenly hear about this and you start to listen, it kind of begins to start changing your mindset.
Yeah, and that is the whole point of these videos. It's not to push people, but it's to burrow it into their mind slowly but comfortably, so that they know that there are people who are on their side without judging them.
Yeah, definitely.
I have no intent of forcing this upon anybody. If anything, pushing things upon someone will make the situation worse, as it will just make them think too many things at once. It will make them more anxious, as it will just get them feeling that they have a decision to make in a split second, and that's not the whole point of these videos to be made.
Yeah, it's almost trying to change the perspective of what you've got in yourself and how you feel about yourself, because it takes time to become stronger. And even for me, I mean, a lot of people think I'm reasonably confident even though I'm quiet, but it takes that little bit of belief. And I think in particular, if there's a subject that you're really interested in, you've done a lot of research, people around here in particular know that I absolutely love being outside and I love nature, and so they'll always come to me and ask me questions, and that is the fact that people will come to me and ask me the questions. But that's not the biggest high. The biggest high is the fact that people actually coming to me and believing in me.
Yeah, and belief is the best motivation for anyone to have.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. That's the number one goal.
If there's no motivation, then there's no goal to be set for. So, if anything, if you feel like no one has belief in you or no motivation in you, you should at least have motivation in yourself. As if you have motivation in yourself, then that'll lead to other people having motivation and belief in you, and then that's just a whole set of train tracks. Once it starts going, it won't stop.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and this is the sad part of life, is the fact that you can be reasonably quiet, sensitive, anxious, and it almost shows like a glowing light to other people. And as much as people don't openly aim to be nasty, they don't necessarily recognise the damage they can perhaps be causing by being the way they are, purely because of the fact that how you're showing yourself to be.
Yeah, and they need to know the correct way of communicating with people instead of just forcing the words upon them, that can just make them feel like they're being put on the spot, they're in trouble, and it will just make them feel even worse than they already are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it boils down to communication, because without the other person understanding, and I mean, again, understanding people with mental health issues is a bit of a taboo that nobody talks about, but the problem is, because we don't talk about it, you don't begin to understand it.
Exactly.
And therefore you don't know how to deal with it when you've got a friend that you potentially could have a mental health issues, and therefore you're almost thinking they'll be fine on their own, they're not asking for help, they're not asking for advice, or you just don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But there's plenty out there to do. Plenty of groups out there, people out there that will sit down and listen, and it's up to you to kind of almost try and guide them. Don't push them, just guide them in that direction.
Yeah. So on the point of there's plenty of things to do, we'll wait for that to go past. So on the point of there are plenty of things to do, there are a few groups around Bedford for anyone who's watching in Bedford. I'll attach the links to those in the bio as well, so just make sure you go have a look at them. They are really, really helpful. I have spoken to the owners of them, and I will be doing videos with them in the future as well. There is one with I believe it's fishing. That can be quite calming, quite relaxing, so make sure you go check that one out as well. But apart from that, there are plenty other things to do, like walking, reading, running. There is currently a walk and run going on right next to us. Car events, they're also pretty good for you. I mean, I recently saw a post about car events being good for men's mental health, and I believe that is true, because before I started, because I do car photography as well, before I started doing that, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't really have a goal, but now I do that, I have something to go for, and now I do this, I have something even better to work towards and spread the message of this to everyone, to be honest.
Yeah, and again, it's begin to recognise these things you've got, that you've decided for yourself that you already enjoy, and you already like, you've already got an interest in, and they can be a small hobby like reading a book.
Yeah.
Because doing something like that, or say for me, I collect stamps. Now, to a lot of people they see, oh, that's a bit of a young person's game, but I collect specifically wildlife stamps from across the world, and things like that is, you sit down with them and you open up the albums and you've got them all laid out the way you wanted them, and it takes you out of that world where you're doubting yourself, and it gives you something positive. And it's things like that that no matter how difficult it is to realise the positives those activities do for you, they're very much worth it.
Yeah. So it doesn't even have to be anything big, does it?
No, not at all.
It could be anything that you feel like could be interesting or fun to you. Everyone has their own preferences, and they shouldn't be judged for that, even though a lot of people are. And that's one of the things that can initially just send everything downhill.
Yeah, and I think some of these hobbies, like me and my stamp collecting, I think probably, other than my partner, I think there's only 2 or 3 other friends that I'm quite happily shown the fact that I'm interested in this, I quite like this. And I think, say, a hobby such as that, it's very much an individual hobby. It's not like, unless you're swapping with people, which I have done. I've gone on through various different groups online to see if anybody wants to swap this stamp for that stamp. But generally it is an individual hobby that you don't need to be in a group for.
Yeah.
So again, it allows you to be in your own space where you're happy, where you're comfortable, and you can take the enjoyment out of that.
And even if if you don't have any friends, but you want something to do with people that are becoming close to you, you could go to the gym, to the pub, anywhere that there's people there. I've made plenty of friends at the gym already, because you just end up getting into conversation with people, and then eventually you just become close enough with them that you become friends, and then you meet up outside of the gym, you meet up at the gym, and you just have conversations everywhere, and then eventually you've made that friend, and then you become friends with their friends, and eventually you've got more people around you than you did in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I only came down to Bedford probably about 12 years ago. Had to move down. I was living in Derbyshire at the time. Lost my job, didn't have any finances. I was paying rent. Came down to live with mum and dad, which when you're 4 years old, that's not the best idea in the world, but it's need to an end. So, and it kind of worked out, and I'm so grateful they gave me that safety of somewhere to go and food on the table. But the one thing that I found in particular is moving to a new area where you've got no memories and no friends that you grew up with. It's so difficult to try and fit into a new area unless you begin to join clubs, unless you start talking to people. And so it's them little steps that will allow you to get somewhere.
Exactly. And on the point of memories, do you feel like it would be better to just completely have a clean do-over with no past memories, or have your past memories but not be able to make new memories?
It's funny actually, I was only talking to my father who I met up with on a few days ago, and I did say, my whole plan was to, once I came back down, and I knew for a while I wasn't necessarily comfortable in this new area, and I'd already got myself another job, and I thought I'm going to save up for about 2 or 3 months, then I'm going to move back to the area that I had the memories. And he turned around he turned around to me and he says, oh, I thought you'd be staying down here now with us guys. And I said, no, but I've realised the issue is you can't just chase the memories, because if you're going back to somewhere because of the good memories that you had, things change. Exactly. People move on, and so sometimes it's good to go to a new place, make new friends, make new memories.
Yeah, as long as there's new memories being made, then there isn't really anything that you can be completely down about.
No, absolutely. And again, it's knowing and understanding. And okay, as you get older, I mean, literally, I'm 52 years old, not exactly retired. I'm in good health, but you don't necessarily want to go out and socialise as often. You don't necessarily want to go out and get drunk on a Friday night. So it's a case of trying to build. You have to understand that your mind and your body changes as you get older. And so sometimes it's easy to stay at home, watch TV, and then relax and learn to relax and appreciate the fact that you're able to relax somewhere safe.
Yeah, and not everyone has that safe space to relax in.
No, that is true, and that's, again, it's something that's important for us to recognise. And if that's the case and you recognise that, then that's when communication is a key thing, because you need to get yourself into a safe place.
And there's so many different young people out there today who can't even call their home a safe space, as there's abuse from their parents, from siblings, from family, but then there's also those who have abuse from their families and abuse outside of the home. So they can't really have anywhere to call a safe space, which is why I feel like there should be more places for young people to go to.
There is, and I think those places would need to be obviously supplied, as it were, or open because of potentially local authorities. And again, as we find here in Bedford, I mean, our local authorities are struggling financially as it is. So it's trying to do your research. Most people have got phones nowadays. We've got the internet now, which is potentially a good thing, potentially a bad thing. And so it's begin to communicate and begin to do your research and begin to start talking to realise what's my next option.
Exactly. So, with specific research, what do you think could be focused on?
In relation to?
Let's say, like, there's cyberbullying, isn't there? Which can also affect mainly this generation. Anything specific to that could be improved upon there?
When I was a youngster, there was no such thing as the internet. I was almost quite grateful, and of course when it came along, everybody said, you know, the World Wide Web is all of a sudden there now and you can gain access to all kinds of information. And I find sometimes social groups can be great, social media can be great, and it can help you, but the thing is, you can't create your life purely within social media, because then you can become a victim to people that want to almost bully you, whether it's through their own name or whether it's through an anonymous name that they've made up, which frustrates the hell out of me, these people that are on social media and they come under bizarre names.
They'll just make any kind of account to just completely...
It makes them anonymous, and therefore they can kind of get away with it unless obviously the admin can potentially find out who they are and block them, ban them.
And that's what we need more of, especially with people who are known for online bullying.
I think also the problem is now is it's almost become, for youngsters, even for old people like me, too easy to go out there and expect your social life to be on Facebook. I mean, I find that most of my social life is on Facebook, and yet that's the most depressing thought to think about, is the fact that most of my friends are on Facebook, and that's how I talk to them, because I don't go out and I don't socialise. I do want to socialise, but I only want to socialise a little bit. And the problem is with that is when you become reliant on being at home, looking to find out what's happening to the world by looking at a screen, as opposed to getting out in the world and going for walks, meeting up with friends, talking face to face, hearing each other's voices, instead of relying on texting each other all the while, or Messenger or WhatsApp. Get out there and talk.
Exactly. And now with WhatsApp, there's obviously WhatsApp Business and then normal WhatsApp. I have known people to have used both for negative reasons, but that isn't as commonly found with WhatsApp as it is with other social media platforms, is it? No,
I mean, it's funny because I find certain friends that I've got will prefer either they'll text me, or they'll WhatsApp me, or they'll send me a message through Messenger, and that's fine. That's their choice. That's their method. And I've not found. I'm kind of used to contacting zones like, oh, that's through such and such. And I think it's all too easy for us to get into habits, and those habits don't develop. They don't change. Sometimes we don't want to change. Sometimes we don't want to see a difference.
Exactly. And on that point, thank you very much for coming in and talking to me.
Thank you.
As I said earlier, if there are any other suggestions for videos that I could do, put them down in the comments. I'll put any links for any mental health information down below as well. And just don't forget to spread the message as much as you can. With that, have a very nice evening, and thank you very much for watching.